Oh, nice shot! Told you she had a good arm.
Lara and Nathan have both displayed impressive feats of strength, durability, agility, and weapon skills, but Lara tended to have the edge in every category.
Both of them were way stronger than you'd think. Nathan shoved a boulder large enough to weigh 20 tons. That means he literally had the strength of 10 men.
But in Lara's case, she moved several limestone blocks used in the Great Pyramids. Not only did she move them much farther distances than Nathan, but given their size and makeup, these blocks should weigh over 27 tons each.
Lara's way tougher too, and has been through things that definitely would have taken Nate out.
Like when she was impaled by rebar, but was still able to accomplish everything necessary to survive a hostile island for a week. Nathan suffered a bullet wound in the same area of the body, and while he powered through the pain for a short time, he soon passed out and was unconscious while under intensive care for 3 days.
Take my word for it, I've been through pretty much everything you can think of, and I'd rather take a bullet than rebar any day. And that rebar thing happened when Lara was pretty young. Later, she got all sorts of combat and survival training from experts, while Nate was mostly self-taught, with a few pointers every so often from a con man. Also, when the pressure's really on, Lara manages to always keep a cool head. Much better than Nate.
So, you got a plan C?
Yeah, floor it.
What?
I'm getting on that train.
What are you, crazy?
Nathan Drake did just about everything by the seat of his pants, and eventually, luck always runs out.
Yeah, she was just too crafty for him.
The winner is Lara Croft.
KO!
Damn, that's cold. With his own weapon.
Shovel Knight might have been able to uphold the code of chivalry, but he could not hold up to Scrooge's wealth of experience and superior strength.
Aside from the extra 100+ years of experience he's got over Shovel Knight, Scrooge's feats blew him out of the water. For example, there's no way that Shovel could have put him down very quickly when he's powered through a minefield like it's nothing.
And remember how he threw a coin across the Potomac River and rode across fast enough to catch it? Well, we know the average width of the river is 1,300 feet, and he threw the coin at an angle of 20 degrees. After some quick calculations, this means he must have thrown the coin, boarded his boat, rowed across the entire river, and exited the boat to catch the coin in less than 5.4 seconds. This means he must have been rowing the boat at speeds well over 164 miles per hour.
Jesus, how fast are his arms moving there?
To make all of that work, at least 14,400 rotations per minute.
That's ducking awesome.
He is strong enough to rip apart a steamboat after all, but regardless of Scrooge's power, Shovel Knight had very little options to defend against the Duck's wackier, physics-breaking weaponry. Those that could buy him some time could only last for so long due to his limited supply of magic.
Plus, Scrooge has fought knights and magicians before, while Shovel Knight never fought anyone quite like Scrooge McDuck. Looks like Shovel Knight dug his own grave.
The winner is Scrooge McDuck.
KO!
Ew, that can't taste good.
Both fighters were intense physical threats, but only one wielded the superior Venom.
Venom had many advantages over Bane: speed, durability, versatility, and even strength.
Bane's peak strength was at most just enough to lift a 27-ton car. Meanwhile, Venom was strong enough to stop a falling carnival ride and hold it up by himself, even while in a weakened state. Comparing it to similar carnival rides, my very conservative estimate would place this thing weighing around 200 tons.
Way more impressive than anything Bane ever lifted.
Of course, Bane was smarter. However, even if he had deduced Venom's key weaknesses to fire and sound, he wasn't really equipped to take advantage of them.
As for speed, Venom could catch bullets. Even better, he could catch up to bullets in midair. He had to move over 1,500 miles per hour to do that.
Ironically enough, almost twice the speed of sound.
Surprisingly, their durability levels were pretty even. Both have taken hits from Superman-level beings and lived to fight another day.
The big difference being Venom's healing factor was far superior. He could fight on par with Juggernaut, who can make 4.8 magnitude earthquakes with his bare hands.
But it's not like Batman ever needed super strength to knock Bane out cold.
In time, Venom's superior strength, speed, durability, and versatility simply overwhelmed Bane.
Looks like Venom was the real Bane of this fight.
The winner is Venom.
KO!
Now that's what I call a battle!
There's a good reason why Voltron is the defender of the universe. While the Megazord boasted excellent abilities in hand-to-hand and sword combat, Voltron couldn't go down so easily.
Voltron's huge arsenal put it ahead, especially in long range. Even when the Megazord could get in close, it couldn't keep up with Voltron's blazing speed. I mean, Voltron travels between galaxies in a matter of hours, and it can fly.
The Megazord once punched a monster weighing at most 10,000 tons 133 feet into the air. In contrast, Voltron kicked a 3,900-ton mutated bulldozer nearly 1,900 feet up. Despite Voltron's monster weighing less than the Megazord's, this is still a more impressive feat. Comparing weight and distance traveled for both feats, Voltron's requires at least 5.5 times more strength.
Plus, Voltron clearly had the superior durability, especially with that black hole comet feat.
The Omega Comet's pole could destroy entire planets within 62 miles of itself, which means the comet could output forces of over 13 sextillion newtons.
The Megazord couldn't survive anything close to that level of power. We can prove it. Later in Power Rangers history, they upgraded their mech to the Thunder Megazord, which is specifically stated to be more powerful than the original Megazord in every way.
The new Zords will serve you well.
Once mastered, your Zords will reveal even greater powers.
When this new Megazord fought against a giant Zord called Serpentera, which at full power could destroy planets, a single blast from it easily tore the Thunder Megazord apart. And that blast didn't even use half of Serpentera's power.
Voltron outclassed the Megazord in almost every way that counted, including strength, speed, and durability. Trust me, I'm not lying.
The winner is Voltron.
KO!
Ew! That's a burn if I ever saw one.
This battle was anything but clear-cut. Natsu held the advantage in speed and strength, and Ace trumped him in endurance and defense. Still, neither held an advantage so much that the other couldn't keep up.
Both were mostly immune to each other's fire attacks. Because fire is Ace's only real weapon, this means he really didn't have anything that could kill Natsu. Natsu was definitely strong enough to put Ace down, but with Ace's intangible fire form, Natsu couldn't even touch him. So, sounds like a stalemate.
Very nearly. Luckily for Natsu, he had an ace in the hole.
Hey, nice one.
Oh, thanks. Natsu has had far more combat training than Ace, and is known for using his superior senses to study his opponents and take advantage of their vulnerabilities.
No matter what I try, this human just consumes my curses. He might even be stronger than he was when this fight started.
When Ace realized Natsu could eat fire, he had to become more liberal with his true physical form to avoid being consumed. And this was what Natsu was counting on.
Being faster than the eye can track, Natsu was more than quick enough to get a good hit in up close.
A perfect opportunity to use a fast, deadly elemental weapon Ace's body wasn't immune to: lightning.
It's not like Natsu was gonna run out of magic or anything. I mean, there's freaking fire everywhere.
As his speed, strength, martial arts, and versatility surpassed Ace, all Natsu needed was one good shot, and he made it happen.
In the end, Natsu was too hot for Ace to handle.
The winner is Natsu Dragneel.
KO!
I know it's the theme and all, but that was just ice cold.
Glacius and Sub-Zero seemed to be a near match in terms of cryomantic abilities, but it was Sub-Zero who had the training and the power to bring Glacius down.
Sub-Zero has fought ninjas, robot ninjas, secret agents, movie stars, gods, and even fellow ice warriors. Glacius really didn't have anything Subby hadn't seen before.
And while their speed was fairly similar, Sub-Zero's impressive reflexes and ninja-like skills gave him one of the most important edges in this fight. He could maneuver around Glacius's keep-away strategy, and his teleportation kept him a step ahead, even able to avoid Glacius's liquid form. And while Glacius did possess a minor form of telepathy, there's no evidence to suggest that it was used for anything other than direct communication.
Sub-Zero could take a lot of hits, so he wasn't going down easy. But if you put their defenses side by side, Glacius's ice armor does seem better. But it really didn't matter because Subs could just chop right through it.
Sub-Zero could shatter titanium statues in a single blow, a feat which requires at minimum 63,000 pounds of force per square inch. And titanium is obviously tougher than ice. Assuming Glacius' shell is composed of blue ice, the purest and toughest form ice can take, it would still only take at most 57,000 pounds of force per square inch to crack his entire body in half.
And he didn't even need to go that far, just get to the squishy insides in the middle. I guess you could say that Glacius had his expectations shattered.
The winner is Sub-Zero.
KO!
Ouch! Now that's a crushing blow!
Captain Marvel may have been one of the Avengers' mightiest warriors, but she couldn't stand up to the impressive power, speed, and expertise of Android 18.
First off, the numbers don't lie. When it comes to speed, Carol's best record put her in just under 200,000 miles per hour, but 18 could move over 100,000 miles faster.
Most apparent of all, Marvel's durability and strength feats simply pale in comparison to 18's. The only way Marvel's power could match 18's was to absorb enough energy to reach her binary form.
But 18 is no stranger to that technique. There's no doubt she recognized what Carol was doing and stopped feeding her energy. Even if Carol had somehow achieved the full force of binary, that wouldn't have guaranteed a win. I mean, the last time we saw binary in the comics, she was taken down by some alien guns. Guess she's not as good at absorbing energy as she thought.
With superior speed, strength, tactics, and endurance, Android 18 simply wore Captain Marvel down until it was time to go in for the kill.
And that's why Captain Marvel lost by TKO. God, that one was awful.
The winner is Android 18.
KO!
And boom goes the giant flying robot monster.
Metal Sonic was a worthy adversary, but Zero was simply better equipped for this battle.
At Mach 35 speeds, Metal seemed like a shoo-in for better speed, right? On paper, maybe. But remember, Mega Man beat Quickman, and Zero was built to surpass Mega Man in every way.
Quickman's top speed was recorded at 224,000 miles per hour, over 8 times faster than Metal Sonic. Scaled to the inferior Mega Man, Zero could certainly handle a machine of Metal Sonic's speed.
Zero's vast arsenal also gave him plenty of options for just about every situation, even when Metal tried screwing with time.
Unlike Metal, Zero actually possessed multiple methods of stopping time, which were more instantaneous and just as effective as Metal Sonic's imperfectly copied Chaos Control.
So Zero definitely had the advantage in that field.
The durability difference was pretty clear too. Zero's feat with the Eurasia space colony trumps anything Metal's ever endured. The resulting explosion was similar to the asteroid impact which killed the dinosaurs, an event estimated to have equaled 100 trillion tons of TNT.
But even surviving a tiny fraction of that explosion was far more impressive than the 200 kilotons of TNT needed to break that giant rock. And that was from Metal Sonic and Real Sonic's power combined.
Even ramming Zero at full speed would not have done much. Moving at Mach 35, Metal's 276-pound body would only hit with enough force to destroy a building. To be blunt, not only was Metal Sonic outmatched in speed and durability, but he didn't have the means to truly kill Zero. Whereas Zero's shown time and time again that he could destroy enemies just as tough and bulky as Metal Overlord.
Looks like Metal Sonic was the real Zero in this fight.
The winner is Zero.
KO!
Well, this version of the Fox and the Hound ended up with a not-so-happy ending.
Not without an extremely close battle, though. Lucario held a lot of advantages throughout the fight, but so did Renamon. While both combatants could move faster than Eyesight, Renamon did so far more consistently, whereas Lucario could only reach those speeds in short bursts.
No big deal, though. Lucario wasn't totally outpaced, so his aura let him sense and predict Renamon's moves to make up for the lower speed.
Especially since Lucario's much wider arsenal helped it adapt as the fight went on, unlike Renamon's limited options.
And while their durability was pretty similar, Lucario was the only one with self-healing and stat-boosting abilities. But most of all, Lucario was way more powerful.
Lucario broke these metal claws with a Bone Rush attack. They were likely made of construction-grade steel, which means in order to fracture it, Lucario must have hit with a force of at least 56,000 pounds per square inch. Comparing this to Renamon's 6,000 psi for breaking an ice wall paints a very clear difference.
And as a glass cannon, it's unlikely Renamon could have dragged the fight out until Lucario became overexerted.
Ultimately, it was a well-matched battle, but Lucario's superior strength and arsenal gave a much-needed edge.
Renamon got Lucario-owned.
The winner is Lucario.
KO!
Oh, it's just like Rock'em Sock'em Robots! Only I don't think his head's getting reattached.
This was an extremely close bout. In fact, both fighters were evenly matched in a lot of unexpected ways.
Being a slugger, Balrog was obviously used to having the strength advantage, but DJ actually had him matched.
Recall how Balrog's punch killed an elephant whose skull could withstand 10,000 pounds of force, or 44,482 newtons. In comparison, TJ's Vortex Punch is capable of hitting opponents at a minimum of 13.4 feet into the air, even if they weigh as much as 550 pounds like Fulgor. To launch something that heavy with just a punch would require 44,820 newtons of force.
Dang, that's close! And that's not even TJ's strongest punch. Even their ability to take hits were pretty similar, like Balrog falling off of the cliff or TJ jumping out of the Ultratech skyscraper, both of which were at similar heights.
Luckily for TJ, analyzing real-life boxing trends revealed his inherent advantage over Balrog. The popular triangle theory of boxing, also called the rock-paper-scissors theory, claims that sluggers such as Balrog naturally struggle against outboxers like TJ.
Yeah, slugger punches are really strong, but they're predictable and require more energy. So a good outboxer could just keep his distance, capitalizing on mistakes, and then wear the slugger down over time until the opportune chance for a knockout blow.
Obviously, it's called a theory for a reason. Every boxer is different. However, when applied at a very fundamental level, the triangle theory holds weight.
Like when Ali took the title from slugger George Foreman in the famous Rumble in the Jungle by using those outboxer tactics.
And don't forget TJ kept a heavyweight title for over 20 years. Despite how closely matched their power and durability were, TJ's speed, tactics, and experience won the match by permanent knockout.
You could say TJ had the instinct for this fight, and it was a killer.
The winner is TJ Combo.
KO!
You know, I bet Shredder would go far if he took up darts.
Both Shredder and Silver Samurai were incredibly tough, capable of withstanding tremendous amounts of pain. Harada's armor may have been tougher, but it had plenty of exposed weak points which a fighter as precise as Shredder could exploit.
Silver Samurai could throw around 600 pounds of people and cats, which is technically stronger than anything Shredder's done, but Shredheads handled equally mighty mutants plenty of times, like Leatherhead.
While the Silver Samurai's teleportation ring did make him harder to track, he's always preferred to use it as a means of escaping a battle, not really engaging in one. Even when he did use it during combat, his moves were often predicted by more experienced opponents.
This guy likes to come at me from behind. Just trying out one of your tricks, Tin Man.
Given Shredder's talents and history, it's reasonable to believe he could do the same.
Still, with Harada's Tachyon Blade and Shredder's Ninja Precision, they only needed to land one fatal hit to finish the fight. So the real question was, who could land the killing blow first?
Silver Samurai's best speed feat, slicing an incoming bullet, clocked in at 1/100th of a second. Shredder's faster than eyesight feat measured at 4,000ths, making him over 2 times faster than Harada. To be blunt, Shredder's fastest known attack was quicker than Harada's fastest known defense, proving that Shredder could deal a killing blow first.
Or, you know, he could just turn into Super Shredder and beat the shit out of him. I mean, Super Shredder can lift and throw a giant oil tanker like it's a beach ball at a rave.
That's probably heavier than 600 pounds of people and cats.
Looks like Shredder was too much for Silver to Tachyon.
The winner is the Shredder.
KO!
Looks like McGruff had a rough time out there. Smokey was clearly the stronger combatant thanks to being a giant bear, really.
McGruff wasn't totally outclassed. His greater speed and smaller size made the battle quite tedious for Smokey. But that's about it.
Yeah, he couldn't compete with Smokey in anything else. It's like my grandpappy always said, why have a guard dog when you can get a guard bear?
But what truly mattered in this battle were their unique abilities, and in that, McGruff didn't stand a chance. When McGruff paused time, he couldn't affect the world around him, while Smokey has shown that he can.
And really, what are you gonna do against a bear that can grow to the size of a mountain?
So, bear beats dog, Smokey's powers were superior, and ultimately Smokey had far more options to take McGruff down for good.
Smokey was just more than McGruff could bear. Haha, one last bear pun. Suck it, Wiz.
The winner is Smokey Bear.
KO!
Whoa, go Wundy! Looks like somebody's been watching too much Game of Thrones.
Thor and Wonder Woman matched each other in some surprising ways. Their weapons were enchanted, their years of experience were similar, and even their super modes did almost the same sort of thing.
But Lady Wonder had a couple big things going for her, like her speed. Sure, Thor's fast enough to tag Quicksilver, and his travel speed with Mjolnir is just stupid fast. But Wonder Woman's shown that she's even more stupid fast in combat over and over again.
Such as when she blocked trillions of God shards flying at her from the edges of the universe, most likely faster than any speed Mjolnir was capable of. She was even able to catch Zoom in her lasso, despite how he wasn't just running ahead of her in physical space, but he was also ahead of her in time. Wrap your noggin around that one.
Thor's durability was greater than Wonder Woman's, but the difference in strength was a different story. In fact, when comparing their Earth and Snake feats, she was 8,000 times stronger than him. But the final nail in Thor's coffin was their choice of weaponry.
Mjolnir may have been tough for Diana to defend against, but it couldn't exploit her weakness to piercing weapons. Meanwhile, Diana's magic sword could slice at a microscopic level, something Thor couldn't possibly be prepared to defend against.
You could have skin so tough that you can take a bath in the sun no problem, but it won't do a damn thing to a blade that can literally sever your atoms.
Ultimately, while many of their talents were evenly matched, Diana's speed, strength, and weaponry proved too much for Thor Odinson.
Yep, he was done, Thor.
The winner is Wonder Woman.
KO!
Damn, even without his powers, Ichigo never gave up. What a badass.
Sorry, Bleach fans, I know you all really wanted to win, but unfortunately, this wasn't it.
Naruto had better training, a broader arsenal, and a better healing factor. And Ichigo's invisible ghost body didn't really matter.
Shinigami may be invisible, but they're still present in the physical realm and can be touched by normal people. Kurama can locate individuals by simply sensing their emotions, and Naruto's even seen his own soul before.
And with Six Paths power, he could see and fight Madara's Limbo clones, even though they were on a totally separate plane of existence.
Also keep in mind that while Chakra and Reishi have fairly different uses, they both contain spiritual energy.
Let's talk speed. Naruto can dodge light speed attacks and can move faster than lightning. A lightning bolt's return stroke is 220 million miles per hour, about 1/3 the speed of light. Ichigo has also displayed lightning fast speeds, and even greater.
Near the end of the series, Ichigo took a trip that should have taken 7 days, but instead took 9 hours and 15 minutes.
It's likely Kirigi here was referencing his accomplice's speed, like Ichibei, who can knock his foes 2,440 miles away and appear next to him in a second. Yuachi guy beat him by going twice as fast, so we'll use that as Ichibei's limit.
With that, we can get the trip's total distance and conclude Ichigo's top speed is 319 million miles per hour. That's massively hypersonic, but not quite light speed.
Still, there's a difference between travel speed and reaction speed, as Naruto's already shown. Comparing them directly, Ichigo's best reaction should clock in at around 970 million miles per hour, 40% faster than light speed and Naruto's reaction time. Alright, point for Ichigo.
Speed alone wasn't enough, though, especially since Naruto's Sage powers gave him superb field awareness, making it difficult for Ichigo to land a fatal blow.
If he could even land something fatal at all.
Ichigo has always had a tough time damaging foes who have stronger spiritual energy than him. With that said, let's compare his Reiatsu to Naruto's Chakra.
Bad news is, across both of them, the only multiplier we know for sure is Ichigo's ×10 Bankai. The ×10 is difficult to achieve, but for Ichigo's sake, let's assume he gets the maximum possible boost from every transformation.
His other forms likely don't boost his stats this much. For example, when he used his Hollow Mask to barely overpower an Arankar, the situation and its results were similar to his then comparable Shinigami friends releasing their limiters, which gave each of them a boost of ×5. However, let's give the benefit of the doubt and apply the maximum ×10 increase to all of Ichigo's forms that clearly increased his fighting potential, as well as stack them even though many forms were in separate unconnected power sets.
For the sake of argument, we're deliberately overestimating Ichigo's power. You'll see why.
So here's our formula, but where do we start? Okay, Bankai Ichigo with his Hollow Mask was on par with Ukiyora's first transformation, correct?
Well, nearly.
Ukiora states his new form can destroy the city of Las Noches in the hollow world of Huecomundo.
What's that, like Mexican hell?
Well, there is a wall.
Ha-ha!
Las Noches is square in shape and takes 3 days to walk from one corner to a gate in the center of the wall. So it has a total area of 200,000 square miles.
That's bigger than California, and destroying it in one go needs over 400,000 megatons of TNT.
So plug that into the formula and there you have it. Ichigo's Reiatsu is equal to over 440 billion megatons of TNT.
Thankfully, Naruto's chakra level is much easier to figure out.
His chakra was once extracted and burst a hole through the hollow moon. He survived the explosion, and it was explicitly said that this was nearly all of his chakra.
Most of his chakra has been siphoned off.
By measuring the aftermath from both sides, we found the blast to equal at least 480 billion megatons of TNT, 4 billion more than Ichigo.
And don't forget, we were deliberately overestimating him.
Also, this was base form Naruto, not including any increases from additional modes, which allowed him to block an attack that cut the moon in half, a force that had to be over 27 trillion megatons. This proves Naruto can both output and survive a blast stronger than Ichigo is capable of.
If you're thinking, wait, Boomstick, Ichigo survived a black hole in a box. That move doesn't really work like a black hole.
Plus, the 814 kiloton Fragor blast did hurt him immediately after, so it must have been weaker than that.
But Wiz, weren't Kaguya and Waka Waka planet busters? Don't they scale to him?
Nope. Kaguya's planet-busting attack required chakra from nearly the entire Earth's population, not just her own. And while Yuak's power was pretty OP, he couldn't destroy the world through his own destructive capability. He only planned to manipulate the delicate balance between life and death by stopping the flow of souls. Like a plate spinning on a stick, if one side gets too heavy, the whole thing comes crashing down.
To sum it up, Ichigo had the speed, they both had the guts, and Naruto had the strength, durability, training, and abilities for days. Naruto sure got the shonen jump on Ichigo.
The winner is Naruto Uzumaki.
KO!
I'll never get tired of seeing people blow up. It's always such a blast.
Thanks to Bruce's counsel, Terry used his flashbang to take advantage of Miguel's sensitive eyesight, and his electric shock that can short out large machinery to deal with Lila.
Yeah, unlike Bruce, the poor girl wasn't really built for combat. And while her hacking skills were top-notch, the isolated Batcave had the defenses to hold her off.
Even still, Terry's stats edged out Miguel's in more ways than one.
When it came to maneuverability and durability, they were mostly even. Both could dodge bullets and weave through the air. Both could survive heavy ballistic hits. But unlike Terry, Miguel's never outraced anything faster than a Mach 19 ballistic missile.
For physical strength, Terry had him beat too. Recall that boulder that he lifted underwater. This took place in Superman's Fortress of Solitude near the Arctic, so the boulder was likely composed of sedimentary dark limestone, the most common rock type around that location. So we compared Terry's height to the boulder, applied the density for limestone, and subtracted the weight reduced by underwater buoyancy, to find the boulder's weight to be 192 tons.
And he tossed it aside like it was nothing. Terry's peak strength in the batsuit has to be more than 200 tons.
Assuming Miguel applied his fair share when holding up that antenna, his best strength feat we know of is at max 100 tons.
But he's a Spider-Man. Spider-Man can lift more than that, right?
Not usually. Technically, Miguel's powers are so different from Peter's that we shouldn't really scale him to other Spider-Men. But for the benefit of the doubt, let's do it anyway.
We'll check out two of Spider-Man's most impressive strength feats. The first is the time he braced a private jet while it was landing. Look at him! He's literally the landing gear.
According to Spider-Man himself, the plane's total weight was at most 115,000 pounds. Adding the thrust from a Whittle W1 engine, which this small jet is most likely to have an engine comparable to, this feat comes out to 58 tons.
Not even close to Terry's 200. Then there was this one time where Spidey had to push way past his limits to lift what he offhandedly compared to as a locomotive. Since he could measure the plane, it's likely he's accurate here, but given the time period, that's still only 130 tons at most.
It's clear Terry had a pretty sizable physical advantage. And just because Terry's mind wasn't as fine-tuned as the original Batman's, didn't mean he's dumb.
Even more, Miguel never trained like Terry did. Hell, he never really had much formal training at all, but Terry was trained by ninjas, stealth artists, and other crime fighters to be a master in the battlefield. And since Miguel didn't have a spider sense, Terry just had to wait until the untrained future Spidey left an opening.
In short, while Miguel wasn't completely outmatched, Terry's superior strength, counseling, equipment, and training won the bout.
Turns out this Batman was beyond him.
The winner is Batman Beyond.
KO!
Extra crispy.
These two were extremely powerful swordsmen, but Sephiroth's cunning and stronger abilities led to his victory.
Wait a minute, I thought the lore said Virgil's sword could cut through anything. Why didn't it cut through Sephiroth's sword?
Yamato was a unique weapon, but its legend clearly exaggerated. On multiple occasions, it's clashed with Dante's blade and even a common rocket launcher without cutting through either, and sometimes requires an exuberant amount of force to cut through tougher material. But let's discuss the real facts.
Like strength. So Virgil with Beowulf could do 720 million newtons, right? But there aren't a lot of good Sephi strength feats to compare.
First, let's compare Sephiroth to a fellow first-class member of the soldier fighting force, who had also been experimented on with Genova cells, Zack Fair.
Remember him? He's the Knot Cloud guy who fought that dragon.
At his peak, Zack could cut through a large metal door with one swing, seemingly with most of his strength. Given the size and width of the door, this feat's sheer strength comes out to 980 million newtons.
And Seph was way stronger than Zack. In fact, if we look at their strength stats when they fought that dragon, Sephiroth was 3.5 times stronger than Zack.
Putting Sephiroth's strength output at over 3 billion newtons. That's almost as much force as 30 Hiroshima bombs.
Strength isn't everything, though. Virgil was technically faster than Sephi, but Sephiroth has handled people of similar speeds before. Plus, Sephiroth could survive plenty of hits because his healing power is broken.
The capabilities of Virgil's healing factor was nearly unprecedented, but it had its limits. In contrast, Sephiroth's healing abilities were only limited by his pool of magic, which was unlimited.
Well, he also had to take some time to cast each healing spell, but that's why he distracted Virgil with his illusions.
We know Virgil was susceptible to illusionary and mental attacks, as it's happened to him multiple times and even led to his in-canon demise.
And Sephiroth's illusions could hide his ultimate technique. Yeah, Virgil's healing was pretty awesome, but it was never gonna hold up under an exploding sun to the face.
Virgil put up a good fight, but he couldn't match Sephiroth's superior strength, magic, and techniques.
Looks like this devil's cried for the last time.
The winner is Sephiroth.